Becky Duff here. Welcome back to my channel. I am here to do a weekly reading vlog because today is May 1st and it is May the Force Read With You. And I just discovered another readathon this month, which I am so excited to join in. It's called Escape the Readathon with Books with Lexi, and it sounds like so amazing. And there is a live show starting in 3 minutes and 20 seconds. So I will do a little bit more of an update about what Escape the Readathon is and everything afterwards. I just wanted to start this vlog really quickly. My baby is supposed to be sleeping. He's in his car seat and he kind of woke up, so I gotta deal with that. And I have this huge pile of clothes on the floor behind me that I'm gonna have to deal with. I'm gonna be listening to an audiobook during reading sprints and dealing with some of that. And I'm just really excited to jump into these readathons. So let's get going. So we are on to the next sprint for the Escape the Readathon, and she is doing sprints for like 10 hours today, and we just started like 2 hours ago. I don't know what my dog's looking at. Something on the roof. Oh my gosh, it's like a fly or a spider. It's a fly. All right. I don't know why I sounded so scared. Fly is less scary than a spider, but anyways, I'm working on my pile of laundry here. Part of the reason why my pile is so big is because I'm actually switching over, putting away all the winter stuff and pulling out all the warm stuff for summer, finally. Anyways, the Escape the Readathon is a little bit more forgiving in what we can read. Like, I started Outlander, was it last month or the month before? But I still just reached the 50% mark of Outlander in the audiobook. My cat is meowing. If you started a book in April, or I guess any other month really, but as long as you still have 50% left to complete in May, it will count for the Escape the Readathon. Or if you have like over 200 pages, it has to be like a minimum of 200 pages to count. There's a bug on this sock and it's freaking me out. Alright, things are a little crazy here and I can't remember what I'm talking about. What happened to my sweater? My house coat? This looks like it was cut with scissors more than anything else, and none of my kids did it, of course. She could have done it. Where are you, Peaches? She could have done it, but that doesn't look like her. Maybe. I don't know. I've had this house coat for like 9 years. Time to retire it, apparently. I am doing the May the Force Read With You readathon as well this month. Both these readathons go for the entire month. So those prompts are a little bit more strict. All the books have to be like started and completed in the month of May, and one book per prompt. And then the Escape the Readathon is a little bit more, not vague, but a little bit more open. The first prompt, like, we didn't even know what our first prompt was until today. And the first prompt is to just read a book you want to read. So I'm finishing Outlander, but I still have like over 20 hours of it. So that's going to take like all month to complete. Especially since I have a couple of audiobooks I want to listen to that will help with the other reads I'm reading this month. So I need to pick the first book I want to read for May the 4th. So I got my prompt list here. And I had, when I did my TBR, I had picked The Night Fire, a Renee Ballard and Harry Bosch novel. I picked this for the thriller / favorite author prompt. And there's also a prompt for dual or multiple perspectives. So this one says Ballard. Here you can see, so that would obviously be from Renee Ballard's point of view. And then Bosch has chapters. And I also managed to find this as an audiobook from my library. So I'm going to save this for the multiple points of view, which is Allies Rebel Alliance, multiple point of view. So I am moving that, which was for the Yoda mystery thriller. And so for the Yoda prompt, I am going to pick this mystery book. And it just says fiction, thriller, page turner, corruption, and fast paced. My husband picked this out of all my mystery books. This is the one he said I should read last month. And I did not obviously get to it. So let's open this up now. And I'm hoping It'll just be a quick and fast, easy read. I am still in the middle of reading Lock Every Door. I'm at page like 50, or I'm at like 54% of that. But so that one will not count for either readathon. So part of me is just like, I just want to put it to the side and forget about it for the next month. But another part of me is like, I'm so close to finishing it and I don't want to have too much of a gap and like forget the first half of it, or like big chunks of the first half or whatever. So I might look for an audiobook of that as well and just finish that. I'm just reading that as an ebook. So, The Escape Room by Megan Golden. Ooh. I heard good things about this one. This one might be a little bit more mixed review, but it was originally $24.99 and I bought it for $5, so can't complain there. And again, I hopefully will be able to get some audiobooks to help me with these. That's what's happening right now. I'm going to keep doing this while listening to my audiobook, and then hopefully during the next reading sprints, there's 36 minutes left of these reading sprints, so I'll do this and listen to my audiobook, and then the next one I will focus a little bit on some physical reading. So let's get back to it. Happy May 2nd, everybody. I am exhausted. Mornings are rough for us. My baby isn't fully sleeping through the night. Like, he will sleep okay, but he wants to be in bed, snuggled up with me, nursing, like, all night long. And I'm just exhausted. And my middle daughter actually got everyone up. Got my son up, amazingly. Like, normally they fight, like, cats and dogs, and it's terrible. And she's like, what do you want for breakfast? And got him breakfast and, like, all this stuff. Anyways, so we were a little bit late to school today, so I'm, like, not prepared for anything. And between dropping them off at school and going to MOPS, which is Mothers of Preschoolers, which I go with my baby, I have an hour. So I was going to go home and, like, get ready and maybe walk the dog and stuff like that. But, all my intentions the night before obviously go out the window as I sleep in, like, way too much. Anyways, last night I was able to finish reading Lock Every Door, which was interesting for sure. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I like Riley Sager. I've only read The Last Time I Lied and Home Before Dark, and then this one. I know some people really hated it. I know some people really loved it. Kind of like any of Riley Sager's books, I guess, but I enjoyed it. It was interesting, and it went in a direction I was not expecting, so that was good. But I was able to finish that yesterday because that didn't count for either of the 2 readathons I'm doing this month. So that sucked, but I was able to finish it. And now we're on May 2nd, and I can get into the books that will count for this readathon. When I opened this book yesterday, it didn't even occur to me, like, it's called The Escape Room, and I am doing Escape the Readathon. So I was like, this is actually, like, the perfect book to be reading. So I got half an hour before MOP starts, but I'll probably go in a little bit early because I gotta change the baby's diaper. So I'm just gonna, like, get into the first chapter of this and see if I'm liking it. Happy May 3rd, everybody. It has been 7 years today since we had to evacuate our town from a wildfire. It's been an interesting few days because this time 7 years ago, the weather went from cold and snowing to very, very hot. And all the snow and everything melted very quickly and everything was very dry. And we had like plus 30 weather like May 1st, and that is not normal for us. It'll snow all the way up until like May 20th. It was just the perfect storm for the wildfire to spread the way it did and having to evacuate the entire town. This year, the weather's like pretty much the same. It's like 29 degrees out today. So it's been a little bit tense. I'm not anxious or worried about the fire, but there is a fire about 45 minutes east of us, and they're evacuating those areas and stuff. So it is a little concerning, and people are not happy with the way the government outside of our town, our municipality, handled the situation, and they waited way too long to call an evacuation, a full-on evacuation. So people are really nervous and not trusting the government right now about it. And it's understandable, and it was a very, very traumatic event, especially for those who lost their homes and were driving like with fire like right beside their vehicles. It was very traumatic. But there's no smoke in the sky. This time 7 years ago, you could see just like huge plumes of smoke all over different areas of the town and stuff. The weather's beautiful and everything, so that's good. It's just weird and kind of eerie, really. But I'm at home now. I went out this morning, went for a walk with my friend, and then we went for lunch. And now I'm at home. There's reading sprints going on for Escape the Readathon. And I am reading still The Escape Room. I don't have a free audiobook for this one. I'm interested in the book, and I want to know what happened. But it's not very fast-paced right now. The very beginning opening chapter, like the prologue, had me thinking of this movie. I gotta look it up, but I watched it with my grandparents, and it was bloody and violent and terrifying. And I'm like, why are my grandparents watching this? Now I can't look away from it. I was staying at their house for a couple nights, and it was brutal. And that movie is like, I'm scarred from it. That's what that first little teaser part of the prologue made me think of. And so that's like all I'm picturing in my head while I'm reading this. But it's not very fast-paced just yet. I'm just at over the 100-page mark. I'm on 108 now. There's two storylines going on in this book. If you don't know, there is one about Sarah Hall, and she is a graduate student and trying to get a job in finance, like analysis stuff. And she is going for this interview, and the guy's a real ass. And it's really clear that he's just doing it like a performative kind of thing. Like he has no intention of hiring her. But she meets somebody in the elevator, and he's like, hey, let me see your resume and stuff. We're possibly hiring for this team, and I can't make you any guarantees, but I'll let you know. And then 3 weeks later, she gets a call. She's been hired on, and she's very much like broke, working double shifts as a server at this restaurant, like just desperately trying to get money, scrape money together. And this job has like all these crazy sign-on bonuses. It's like the starting salary is like $130K a year. She gets like a $30K sign-on bonus. They're paying for her to move from Chicago to New York. Like all this crazy stuff. So it's like a huge step up for her. And then it's just talking about like when she first started the job, there's 2 weeks that they have to do like a month's worth of work, or 9 days or something like that to do like a month's worth of work. And that's one of the reasons why she got hired on. They needed an extra hand for this. Peaches, leave my cat alone. Peaches. That's what I thought. So it's just like talking about her life and her time at the job and stuff like that. And then the other chapters, it's just called The Elevator. And there's 4 people on the elevator. They've been called there. It's like really late at night or like evening time or whatever. It's like this really weird time to be called. And it's like this mandatory meeting. You have to come. And then the like leader of this team of these 4 people is like, I don't know, like I was just told we had to be here and blah, blah, blah. And they got on the elevator, and it started shooting up to like the 70th floor. It's like an express elevator. They can't get off of it. And then the lights turn off and all this stuff, and they're trying to figure it out. And it's like, I think it's an escape room. Or like they know they're going into an escape room, but they don't realize it's just going to be the elevator that's just locked and they can't get out, and the lights are off and the heat is on and all this stuff. And clues just kind of like randomly show up like on the display board and stuff. And they're like, well, whether we fight, like if we do the clues and we figure it out, perfect, we'll get out of here early. If not, at the hour mark, it'll open. Because the one guy on the team's like, yeah, I did a couple of escape rooms a few years ago for like a friend's bachelor party. And like, even if you fail, it opens up at the hour mark, right? So I have a feeling it's not going to open up at the hour mark. But it's not super high thriller suspenseful just yet, but I do want to know. Because the 2 storylines are tied together. I don't want to give away too much. But yeah, I am excited to keep reading it. And I'm also reading Hood Feminism, Notes from the Women White Feminists Forgot by Mickey Kendall. I jumped on here to read this quote to you because, like, it's just mind-boggling. I don't understand people, humanity. She is talking about adultification, the racist practice of seeing children of color as significantly older than they are. And this is under the chapter of It's Raining Patriarchy. So adultification removes the possibility of innocence from young girls, especially black girls. It shows up in many facets. One of the most bizarre is perhaps the response of white Hunger Games fans to the death of the character Rue, played by Amandla Stenberg in the movie. Instead of the deep grief that fans reported feeling while reading the book, seeing Rue on screen as a visibly black girl had many commenting that they felt nothing, or that her death was less meaningful to them because Rue was being played by a black girl. What? In the Hunger Games, you know people are gonna die. That you just know it. But Rue was like on the younger side too of the Hunger Games. She was like 12 or 13. And she's just this sweet, innocent child that is gonna be brutally murdered. It doesn't matter what she looks like. How are you not affected by that? Rue, who's like 12, 13 years old, she doesn't want to be there. She doesn't have all these like fighting strength skills. She has some skills. She's obviously had survived that long and stuff. And spoiler warnings, I guess, if you haven't read Hunger Games. But, like, just how do you have no... Sorry about the lighting. Her death was less meaningful because she was being played by a black girl. What? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Anyways, it goes on. Some fans of the movie tweeted things like, that awkward moment when Rue is some black girl and not the innocent blonde girl you picture. Did you read the books before going to the movie? And why does Rue have to be black? Not gonna lie, kind of ruined the movie. Despite the character being described in the text as having dark brown skin, even a fictional black character wasn't immune to racism. It's pretty obvious in the book that they are dark-skinned people. And the other character from District 4, the boy tribute, is dark-skinned. These people obviously didn't read the book or know or like pay attention to the fact that they're dark-skinned or didn't think about it. But to me, like, it was pretty obvious in the Hunger Games that they're black. So, like, how can that ruin the movie for you? Or ruin that part of the movie for you? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Anyways, I'm going to go back to reading. I think the reading sprint is done now. And I'm not struggling to read. I'm struggling to read fast. I need to slow down, absorb the books, and enjoy what I'm reading. That is my biggest challenge, is enjoying what I'm reading and not just being like, I gotta get through this, I gotta get through this, I gotta get through this. So, yeah, I'm gonna get back to the reading sprint and hopefully get a little bit more reading done when kids come home in an hour. So, we'll see how it goes. Happy May the 4th be with you. So, you're kind of at a weird angle because I'm trying to just prop you in my vehicle. I'm sitting outside the school. They still have like an hour and 10-12 minutes left of school. But my son was asleep. We were coming back from Walmart, and now he's awake, but maybe he'll fall back asleep. And I just decided I could have gone home for the hour and then came a little bit early, like 40 minutes early, to get a good like parking spot, because parking at school pickup and drop off is always ridiculous. But I figured if I was in the car, then I wouldn't be distracted by other things and I would actually get some reading done. So I just started Arsenic in the Azaleas by Dale Mayer as an audiobook. It's like 6.5 hours long. So I got 5 hours and 20 minutes left, and I've already listened to an hour and 23 minutes. So I've just been listening to that and doing a little bit of crochet that I'm working on. And I'm listening to that because Kayla from Books and Lala, the book takes place where she lives, and she's doing like one of those read it in a day, try and figure out the mystery kind of things. So it's going to be a vlog full of spoilers and stuff like that. I wanted to read the book before watching that video, which comes out on the weekend, and today is Thursday, so I have a little bit of time for that. I am loving the story so far. This lady, Doreen, is divorced. She was married to a really wealthy man and was basically a trophy wife, and her husband left her for a younger woman, and now she has to move from like this prestigious life in Vancouver to Kelowna into her grandmother's home, Nan's home, and start over, right? So she gets there and she has a basset hound, and I was like, okay, I already love the story. And I saw the basset hound like on the cover. There's a picture of Doreen, I assume, a bird, a dog, and a cat, and I saw that the dog happened to be a basset hound. I had a basset hound. She passed away last August, and we had her for 14 years. Just under 14 years. She was 14 years old, but we got her in like October. She passed away in August, so almost 14 years. And very sad. We miss her so much. She was our family. We had her before we had kids, so she was very much a part of our family. And I just love basset hounds. I want another basset hound so bad. We have, you can't see her, we have our German Shepherd in the back here now. German Shepherd, I think Husky cross. We don't know. She's a mutt, rescued mutt. But I just love basset hounds, so I love that. And the dog's name is like, I gotta look up what the actual full name is, but she calls him Muggs, and it's so cute. And then there is Maine Coon cat that her grandmother had, and an African gray parrot. My husband also wants to get a Maine Coon cat. Those are very cool cats. I think they would be an interesting pet to have for sure. I would love to have a Maine Coon. There's another, like a Bengal cat that I would prefer over a Maine Coon, but like if we were to get a more, they're not wild cats, they are domesticated cats, but they kind of look wild. But I love Maine Coon cats as well. Or I love the way they look and stuff. I've never actually like met a Maine Coon cat before. I have decided that I'm only just under an hour and a half into this book, and I love animal companions. Like, even if they're just animals, like not fantasy, they can't talk to you or anything like that. They're just regular pets, and the antics that go on with having pets. I'm a pet person, I'm an animal person, and I love it. So Doreen moves into her grandmother's house and catches her dog chewing on something after the cat runs into the house. And she finds that, she's like, oh, the dog's chewing on a bone or something, and then the bone has flesh on it, and it's like, oh, gross. And it's a finger. So she calls the cops, and the cops have found a dead body under the porch of her nan's house, and her nan has just moved into an assisted living, independent living kind of home. And yeah, this body's found in the porch. So that's interesting. And I'm guessing the mystery is going to kind of start from there. I'm going to listen to that for probably another half hour, and then get back into reading The Escape Room. I am this far in, so just about halfway, and it has a lot of conversation about work and politics and talking about like women in the workforce and stuff, and it's a really interesting discussion. And if you're reading this with somebody else, like, it would make for good conversation, I think, like good things to discuss about that, especially if you work in the corporate world or you are trying to make it as a woman in a male dominated field and trying to get like equal respect and pay and all of that stuff. It definitely brings up some really interesting conversations. And they work in finance, and the deals, I'll just read this little part that I was reading today. The deals were little more than numbers, statistics, profit margins, rates of return. They never had a human face. They all generated huge amounts of money for the firm, which we were certain would translate into bigger bonuses for us. And that's all it's about, right? Like, this is their job. They just see what's best for the business. They don't see like the human faces behind that, like the workers that this is going to impact, right? And she was saying like this one deal that they're going through broke through the haze. Our client made the board of this company an offer that it couldn't refuse, and indeed didn't refuse. The company's board voted unanimously to sell to our client. One of the people on the team, the tax expert on the team, figured out that if the production of the parts was taken offshore, they would take advantage of a tax incentive in the destination country that would save our client $110 million over 5 years. That alone would effectively pay for the acquisition. On the day the deal was signed, all 530 of the factory staff in Michigan were told they'd lost their jobs. So obviously, like, this acquisition buy thing has a huge impact on 530 families, not just people, families. Sorry, a class was going back inside and I got distracted. So 530 factory staff lost their jobs. And then she's saying, like, doesn't it make you feel bad because they saw, like, on the news that these people had lost their jobs? This isn't the best time or place to be recording. And it's actually pretty busy, like, with cars driving by. So sorry about the noise. Anyways, Sarah, the main character that we're following in this, is talking about, like, doesn't it make you feel bad? And the guy she's talking to said, why should I feel bad? We did our job. It's why they pay us the big bucks, he replied. Why do you care? They're regular people, I said. People who have bills to pay, mortgages, kids to school and feed. We've destroyed their lives. We should have gone over the numbers until we found a way to do it without putting them in the street. So it just goes on from there. And then one of the other workers who has Asperger's and is, like, brilliant. Sarah's kind of friends with Lucy. Lucy is a little bit socially awkward and not super open and stuff like that, but they've kind of formed a connection, I guess. And after this happened, she went to go talk to Lucy about it because she just felt bad and wanted somebody else to talk to. 3 months later, I found out that a former foreman at the Michigan auto parts factory had blown his head off with a hunting rifle. His wife had left him and the bank was about to seize his family home. I was filled with self-loathing. His blood was on our hands. And Lucy said, I've never understood why someone would do that, but at the same time, I can't help but think that our actions pushed him into a corner. And she tells Sarah, there was another way of doing that deal. I showed Jules and Sylvie the numbers. They said I was being overly optimistic, which with my projections. Were you? Of course not. Jules and Sam took the easy way out, Lucy said. They wanted a sure thing. That was the first time I realized why the firm gave us such generous perks and pay. It was to skew our moral compass so that we wouldn't hesitate, wouldn't flinch when we had to be ruthless. So I just thought that was a really interesting conversation about the bottom dollar and how people don't matter. At the end of the day, it's all about the bottom dollar. So good conversation in this book for sure, and I'm enjoying it. It's moving a little slow for me. Not that it's slow. It is a little bit slow paced, but not necessarily in a bad way. I'm just slow at reading it, I guess. But anyways, I am going to go for now and read a little bit more. Spend my next hour actually reading and not being distracted by dogs and cats and babies getting into trouble and stuff like that. Hopefully baby will be okay. Happy May 6th. Today is Saturday. I just turned on the air conditioner, so it's a little bit loud, so this will just be a quick update. I am almost done the escape room, so close, and then I'm going to listen to Arsenic in the Azaleas and work on a puzzle that I've been excited to do for like over a year now. And it's really short, it's like 520 pieces, so hopefully get that done today and just enjoy an audiobook. I finished the escape room and submitted my points for that. And now I'm listening to the Arsenic in the Azaleas. Oh, the lighting. I'm sorry. I'm going to do this update really quick. And then I'm just doing this bookshop puzzle by Emily Cromwell Designs. So I'm very excited about that. I got some lunch and I'm going to listen to the audiobook and work on this puzzle. So the escape room I thought was good. It wasn't quite as thrilling as I thought it would be. Like, there were parts where the team is stuck in the elevator doing, like, the escape room stuff that were pretty intense. But it was more of a mystery with thriller elements to it. And a revenge story. So, I thought it was fine. It wasn't a bad read or anything like that. And I was curious to know what was happening. And I kind of figured out who was behind the whole escape room thing pretty early on. But that didn't distract me or deter me from wanting to know exactly how things were set up and what was happening and solving like the full mystery of it and do they get out of the escape room. It was a little bit of a slow read. Like, I started it May 2nd and I finished it today's May 6th. So that's not too bad, but it just felt a little bit like a long read. I don't know, I read it fairly quickly. I guess it just feels like it takes a long time when you're doing like a competition and you need to read, you feel like you need to read like 20 books in the month when normally you read 5. So it felt a little slow that way, but that's on me. But I thought the writing was fine and I would definitely check out something else from Megan Golden in the future. It had a lot of good social commentary on it and things about greed and women in the workplace and the things you will do to keep your prestige and your money and stuff. So I thought it had some really good commentary as well. And now I'm on to the cozy mystery of the Arsenic in the Azaleas, which I am loving. I love the animals in it. The Basset Hound and the Maine Coon Cat and the Parrot are like the best detectives so far in the story, but I'm not mad about it at all. I love animal companions and I had a Basset Hound for 14 years and I am just enjoying the story of the animals in this mystery, so I'm pretty excited about that. And just enjoying my time and along for the ride. Tomorrow the vlog is supposed to go up for it, where Kayla solves the mystery of it. So I am excited to listen to it myself, and there hasn't been a lot so far for me to really like figure out like who murdered the person that was found in the backyard of her Nan's house. Like, there hasn't been a whole lot of clues or anything like that, but arsenic was found. That's it so far. But, I mean, arsenic in the azaleas kind of tells you that that's going to show up at some point. It's funny because she finds, like, this box, this metal box in the backyard. Well, actually, the animals, well, she sees it, but the animals find it. She sees, like, a reflection of it when she's in the bathroom. Looking out the window to the backyard, she sees a reflection, but the animals end up finding it. Of course, because the animals are, like, the best detectives so far. They have found, like, all the clues. All of them. And that's what you get for having a basset hound, which is a hound dog. And is a scent hound, specifically. Getting all my edge pieces. Oh, she finds this, like, box buried in the backyard. And she's like, oh, what I found... It wasn't in it. It was, like, underneath of it or whatever. Was shocking. And I was like, oh my gosh, she found a gun. And then... you find out, like, it's arsenic, and I was like, duh. Of course it's arsenic. That's what the name of the book is. It's a fun cozy mystery. Mosies, that's what they're called now. So I'm enjoying it. I don't read them very often, but it's nice. It's lighthearted. It's a little bit more lighthearted. I mean, there's a murder, but there's also the antics of the animals and stuff like that. And the main character, Doreen, is trying to, like, restart her life after a divorce after being married for 14 years. And in a couple of days, it's my 13th anniversary, and we've been together 16 years now. So I can only imagine, like, after spending that much time being married to somebody, and this guy's, like, super controlling and everything like that, and very, very, very rich, and wouldn't let her do, like, she couldn't even do her own gardening because that would, like, ruin her nails, and she had to be perfect and presentable and just a trophy wife. So even the extreme circumstance of her life and her marriage and how controlling her husband was, but also just being with somebody for that long, like, it's hard to start over again. She's going from, like, the extreme of having lots of money and prestige and the trophy wife life to, like, being broke and not having enough groceries to get, or enough food to buy, like, basic groceries. So there's the extremity of that as well in this divorce and starting over in her life. I can only imagine, having been with my husband almost the same amount of time, and I think me and her are the same age, how hard it would be to start over and just, like, pick your life back up, and starting over at 35 and trying to figure out, like, what does my life look like now? What do I do now after spending all of my 20s and early 30s being a wife? And that was her job. That was really her job. And they have no kids. So that's a bit of a different circumstance when you're starting over. Obviously, she doesn't have to worry about the children or anything like that. But yeah, just the hardship of having to start your life over again. And finding a dead body in your nan's back garden. So anyways, I am going to get into that and eat my lunch and just enjoy a quiet afternoon. For Escape the Readathon, I read the graphic novel Pillow of the Woods. My daughter picked this up from the library because she thought it was cute, and then said that I would probably like it and think that it was cute, especially with the little dog. And this book deals with anger due to grief, and another character is dealing with thoughts of loneliness. And it's very intense. I was talking to my daughter, who's 9, and just saying, like, this is really intense, these emotions that they're feeling. And if you go through, here's some of the beautiful artwork. Throughout the book, you see these little guys, these little monster things, and you don't know what these are. And then Willow runs off, gets in a fight with her sister here, and takes off and runs into the forest. And she hears this, like, rustling sound. Isn't sure what it is, right? But then you see these, like, grow up a little, out of control, always acting like she's so smart. These are things that she is thinking, that Willow is thinking to herself with this fight that she had with her bigger sister, and some of the things that were said. And you can see these monsters, creature things are growing bigger. And then she runs into this little girl, or this Pillow here, and some kind of, like, forest person, and she's dealing with feelings of loneliness, extreme loneliness. And throughout the story, they're just talking about their feelings, and she's lost and doesn't think she'll get home and thinks her mom will not miss her whatsoever. And she's saying, like, no, your mom does love you, and she does care about you, and she does miss you, and I will help you find your way home. And through it together, they discover how to handle these, like, little monsters. And she's talking about how mad she gets, and how these little things grow like spores. They, at one point, talk about mushrooms in here. Like, one little hurtful thing, this bad feeling or whatever, it takes a second to drop and a long time to grow. And I thought it was really well written. It has really good visuals. Being a graphic novel, it really does show, like, how these giant emotions can really, like, grow and overtake how we are feeling and block out anything good or positive that is going on. We just feel the negative and the bad and the hurt and the loneliness and the anger that comes from grief. Willow is grieving the loss of her mother. And even as an adult, I can feel like this sometimes. Like, the emotions have gotten out of control and all I see is red. All I see is the hurt, the anger, the triggers, and I'm blinded to everything else. And I think this is a really great way to have a conversation with a child too, because there's actual visuals in the book, in a graphic novel, and I thought this was really well written and really enjoyed it. And I am glad that my daughter picked it up, and the artwork is very beautiful. I love all the imagery of nature in this and how it's in the forest, and I've always just loved walking through the forest and feeling really connected to nature and feeling there's more out there has always come through nature for me. And I'm really glad that we read this. And then this ended up just going towards, there was no prompt for this in Escape the Readathon. This was just it was just like, read whatever you want, log the book. And I was able to do that with this one. So I had 2 graphic novels that I was reading this month that my daughter suggested I read after she picked them up. Well, I picked up this one for her, and then she picked up Pillow in the Woods. So you saw my clip about Pillow in the Woods, and then this one is Go with the Flow, which I saw on Ashley's channel, The Bookish Realm, talking about I think this was like under hyped books maybe, or just books that she's read recently, I don't remember. But this is a story for kids like middle grade. I don't know if it has like an age suggestion on the back, but I would say like preteens before they get their period, and then up. Whatever age. Like, I'm 35 and I read it. My daughter is 9 and she has not started puberty. My other daughter is 11 and she read this as well. This is a friendship story, period, by Lily Williams and Karen Sheenman. And it is about these 4 girls. And this girl here, Sasha, is new to high school. These 3 here, I'm not sure what grade they're in, maybe like 11 kind of thing, 10, 11. And she is new to high school. And she gets her period on her very first day there. And it leaks through. Like, she's never had her period before. And it leaks through her pants and people are pointing and laughing. And these 3 grab her and bring her into the bathroom. And they go to find a tampon, a pad, whatever, in the things you see like on the walls that have like the little dispenser things. And they're empty. And this girl here, I'm trying to remember their names. She is very much a feminist and always wanting to fight for the rights of women and equality and everything. And this book is about periods and menstruation and having access to these kind of things, because she said even if the dispensers were full, not everyone can afford that like 50 cents or whatever it was to get the products. So she wants equality in having the dispensers stocked regularly and also to be free if possible, right? And the principal says something like, oh, we don't have enough money for this, it's not in the budget, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, the football team just got new jerseys and equipment and all this stuff, and they were just updated like 2 years ago. So why is there money in the budget for that, but not for like pads and tampons? And it does talk about that side-gendered women are not the only ones that bleed, but gender non-conforming and transgendered can also get their periods and have menstruation. So that was very inclusive, but in this case, the girls that we follow are young adult females, and their names are Britt, Sasha, Christine, and Abby. So Britt, Sasha, Christine, Abby. And there is also Britt, suffers with very, very, very painful periods. And the whole color palette, of course, is like reds and pinks and stuff. But her periods are very painful. She misses school a lot and stuff like that. And they talk about endometriosis. And like I was showing here in the back, there's like an author's note, and then there's how to period and what is normal. And it talks about like, you don't know what's normal until you talk to other people. And everyone's cycle can be different. Some people can bleed for like 2 weeks, some for 4 days. Some get their period every 28 days. It's very predictable. It's on schedule. And other people, it's very unpredictable. They might skip a month or whatever. Some people have severe cramps. Some people just mild cramping. Whatever it is. But you don't know what is normal until you talk to other people. And tracking your period is important to learn what is normal for you. So I thought that was a really good discussion. And they do talk about that like in the pages of the book a little bit. Not so much about tracking and stuff like that. Just they're open about talking about periods and making it not a taboo subject. So here you see that she has bled. People are kind of like snickering at her and stuff. This is her first day at school. This is Sasha. And obviously she is nervous. And her mom is not like super supportive. You don't see the parents a lot in this. You see them a little bit, but her mom is just like, what happened to your underwear? She's like, I got my period today. And she was like, oh, okay. Walked away. The next morning there's tampons on the bed kind of thing. There's no discussion or anything to be had. But Britt, who has the severe periods, you see her talk to her dad, who's a doctor, and is like, Dad, you have to get me out of school. I can't handle this. I'm in too much pain. And then you see a really sweet conversation between her and her mom talking about, like, this isn't fair, and Dad's trying to get you in to see a specialist. Just the mother and daughter commiserating over periods and the mom empathizing with her. It was a really good conversation to have, but you see, like, some people don't have that support at home. Others do have the support, things like that. So you see here, she's trying to figure out like her locker and stuff like that. And then obviously people are like whispering and saying things. And like here, she's like, hi, I'm Abby. Let's make our way to the bathroom. So I'm hoping to have a conversation with my girls to be like Abby. Don't be like this girl here or this girl. Be an Abby in high school or even in elementary, depending how old you are when you get your period. And then you can see here, like she's leaked through and she doesn't know, right? So you got your period and it's on your pants. She's never had a period before, right? So she's like, oh no, it's everywhere. What do I do? And then this is where you see that they don't have anything available. And Abby is like, they never stock them. That's why I always carry emergency pads. So I want to even have my daughter like carrying extra pads and stuff in her backpack. I'm like, you never know. You need to keep it. She's like, I'm not on my period. I'm like, it doesn't matter. You need to have this on you because you just never know. And then Britt takes off her sweater so that she can wrap it around her body. And that's how this whole thing starts. And it is over 300 pages. It's quite a hefty graphic novel, but of course it's a graphic novel, so it moves by pretty quickly. I highly recommend it for anyone around that age. Like I said, my daughter is 9. So just around that age, like before they start their period, so they can see like, it's okay to talk about, this isn't taboo. They can get the ball rolling with conversations and find people if they don't have a mom or an aunt or a big sister in their life that they can talk to. Maybe they can find a friend to talk to or an online forum or something. But yeah, highly, highly recommend this graphic novel.